clear scientific basis, but is running into headwinds politically in trying to do that. Tammy Bruce joins us tonight to respond. So, Tammy, let me just ask you, what happens to women if the definition of sex, of gender, becomes up to the discretion of the individual?
Yeah, well, your opening comments, I think, made that pretty clear. We have a scientific framework that recognizes women and men. As a woman who's worked most of my adult life for the welfare of women, that's important. You know, we are important. We lead different kinds of lives. Our life experiences are different. We're subject to different kinds of violence, sexual violence, etc. So, I mean, it's important, but the important thing also is, when it comes to the government and law, is that something is actually administratable, so that something is clear, that something is defined, and of course science, as the left always tells us, is important, and is a distinctive framework of how we make decisions. The problem here is that Barack Obama created a framework where, for Title IX, people would be judged and placed in a framework based on simply what they claimed. Now, I think the transgendered issue is a serious one. People go through serious life changes. Chelsea Manning just posted Twitter photos with her having the surgery. We know, of course, Caitlyn Jenner has. Hundreds of Americans have gone through this, and it's a serious issue. And I think that what we're looking at here for the government, especially as a gay woman, if you're looking for the government and the reaction to this change has been remarkable, to confirm your value or your existence as a person, we're all in trouble, because the government is not the place to get that. Right now, any kind of rule, I think, for the government's got to be something that helps us administrate a framework like Title IX and recognize the differences between men and women. While transgendered individuals, of course, this doesn't erase them. It means that their relationship with themselves and with the medical community and how they identify is personal, and that they can work through the system within that framework.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an attack on anyone to start to worry that maybe women are about to be hurt in this. That's my concern. We should at least talk it through, I think, rationally, and I'm glad that you helped us do that.
Exactly.
Tammy, thank you.
Thank you, Tucker.
Well, getting into Harvard is tough for anybody, but it's a lot harder for some, and it depends on your skin color, to a large extent, it turns out. We know that because of documents related to a discrimination lawsuit brought by Asian applicants to Harvard. And those documents show the university has spent decades rigging its admissions policies at the behest of university leaders who want a significantly less Asian student body. It's hard to believe, but that is happening even today. Jason Hill is a philosophy professor at DePaul University and author of the book We Have Overcome. He opposes the admissions practices of Harvard. Jason, thanks a lot for joining us. So a lot of us grew up hearing about the discriminatory practices of the Harvard admissions department, believing that they were no longer in existence, only to discover that they are, and that Harvard is defending them, even having been caught using them. What is this?
That's right. Well, I think there's no other word to describe it than just nefarious. I mean, any institution that uses race explicitly as a way, and explicitly uses race with such zeal as a way of excluding persons from their institutions is just plain evil. And what makes it even more nefarious is that we're talking about a group that has achieved the highest academic record, the highest SAT scores, but has the lowest admission rate among any racial group. This makes it even more nefarious, and I think the word that comes to my mind is evil here. It's just plain.
If you're telling kids, and we do tell kids all through young adulthood, through their teen years in high school, we say get the highest grades you can and the highest test scores. Those are the criteria they're going to be used to judge you. And it turns out that's a lie. It makes all of us kind of cynical, doesn't it? This fake meritocracy.
It's profoundly anti-American, and it goes in the face of what is the American dream, which is meritocracy, which is going by fairness, which is going by working hard, not judging people by race, by ethnicity, by morally neutral factors, but judging people based on merit, on talent, on sheer grit, and tenacity and resilience. And what Harvard is saying is that there are other criteria that we're going to judge you by, superfluous and extraneous criteria, and anything that you exhibit, such as talent and merit, we're actually going to discount those and use them against you. And when we have a model group that aspire to the best virtues that America can offer, such as grit, tenacity, and hard work, and display those to the American people, we say we're going to discount those and we're going to actually use them against you. And I think that's just very, very unfair.
They believed in our values. We punished them for it. It's really sad.
We
Thank
punished
you.
them for
You
it.
put that so nicely. Professor, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Well, he hosts the most popular television show in the AM. He has written a bunch of best-selling books. You can probably bake 30-minute brownies in 5 minutes. Brian Kilmeade joins us after the break. We are honored to say. Stay tuned.
By the time they arrived, he was last seen singing karaoke in the lobby bar with a friend. Oh, sorry, that was me doing karaoke. He's not the first guy to hook up with a horse face. We can't say that anymore. Topic number 3. Happy birthday to the Smurfs who turned 60 this week. Just think in 20 years they'll be old enough to run for president as a Democrat. It would be the only time you'll ever hear the words Brainy and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in the same sentence. Today is National Smurf Day in Brussels. The original Blue Man Group was created by an artist named Peyo. The event included a fake cake that was not poisoned by smell, so far as we could tell. There were also life-size replicas of the Smurfs, which are just as tall as 3 apples, kind of like Tom Cruise. The Smurfs were also known for their colorful language, which they often substituted with the word smurf for nouns and verbs and spirits. Smurf, yeah. All right, for example, if Hillary Clinton thinks she can smurf the presidency in 2020, she's ever smurfing village. Topic number 4. Daytime TV and future TV show coming out. It's going to be called Judge Jerry because it has a nicer ring than the Stupid People's Court. According to producers, each episode will focus on small claims familiar to the Springer crowd. You know, like if your wife gives you her watch to the little person she's cheating on you with, or your stripper's sister borrows money for glitter and won't pay you back, or of course won't return the engagement ring after you call off the wedding. Judge Jerry is slated to debut in the fall of 2019, but if you can't wait that long, wild fight, rabbit hecklers, and tons of beer, you can always rewatch the Brett Kavanaugh hearings. It means flatulence. Topic number.
Time now for the Friend Zone. We bring on one of our favorite people here at Fox. Today we're honored to be joined by one of the co-hosts of Fox and Friends, the great Brian Kilmeade. His new book, Andrew Jackson and the Miracle of New Orleans, a bestseller, sold so well it's now out in paperback, and we are proud to be the forum in which he announces that. So, Brian, all this drama going on, you spent a lot of time thinking about Andrew Jackson and studying his presidency. What are the lessons from Jackson that we could apply to this moment? How would he handle the drama we're living through?
Straight ahead, very similar to Trump. And that's one of the most amazing things, Tucker. I could say lucked out, but also when you write a history book, you worry about being relevant. People like you and I like politics, like history. A lot of our audience does. But I had no idea that President Trump was even going to run for president, let alone win, and be so compared and accurately to Andrew Jackson and put his portrait up in the Oval Office. I had no idea his tomb would be defiled for the first time since his death prior to the Civil War, because all of a sudden Andrew Jackson's being reevaluated. Suddenly the previous president wanted him off the 20. We can never justify slavery, but he had slaves. We can never justify some of the battles he had with American Indians at the time, but others was in order to win a war called the War of 1812. So having done that, he was still an unbelievable success story that in the afterward I have Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, Harry Truman, Ronald Reagan, all looked up to him and said, I can learn from this guy. I'm amazed today we're having trouble finding relevance, good things about Andrew Jackson, a 13-year-old orphan who ended up a 2-term president. That's the American story.
One of the toughest people ever to hold the office, I think, by popular acclaim.
He shot people in duels. He had a bullet in him his entire life. He suffered from dysentery, 6'1", 140 pounds. He was brought up in the backwoods. There were no social programs to prop him up. He found a way. He didn't blame. He took action, became a self-taught lawyer, judge, congressman, senator, a militia general, won some of the most consequential battles, including the Battle of New Orleans, that any American general has ever won. And get this, he didn't go to West Point. He didn't learn his leadership from his father. He learned it from being raised by his town, his county, his country. And he bled red, white, and blue. And he lived to pay back that country for what they did for him, and they give him a shot at life. In no other country could he have done anything. He was one of the original American success stories, even if you didn't like some of his policies.
Amazing. This is why the book has sold the number of copies it has. It's a great story and a great account of an amazing life. Brian, thank you very much. The great Brian Kilmeade.
All right, go get him, Tucker. Thanks.
Always sits in on the show. I'm gone. That's it for us tonight. Amazing how fast that went. We'll be back tomorrow night at 8 o'clock to the show that is the sworn enemy of lying, pomposity, smugness, and groupthink.